welcome to the channel. Here I share Scareful stories. Stories to make you scared, make you think, make you wonder, and maybe, just maybe, make you a little more careful. If you like what you see, please give the video a like, leave a comment down below, and consider subscribing to the channel. I know it's super dorky, but I was super excited when I hit 25 subscribers, so just know that I appreciate every one of you who has taken the time to help the channel out. Just watching the videos does that too, so thanks for watching. And now, the Scareful story of Sandra Eckert. This one is local for me, so it feels really close to home. Sandra Eckert was 70 years old and living in Franklin, Wisconsin when she went missing a year ago in March of 2021. Her husband, Wes, last reported seeing her alive on Friday, March 26 of 2021. Described by her daughter as amazing, beautiful, and kind, her disappearance has really taken a toll on their family. With the investigation seemingly stalled, there is a $50,000 reward being offered for information leading to the conviction of the person or persons responsible for her disappearance. So let's get into what little details we have about what happened. Wes's story is that he and Sandra were at home when they got into a fight about Wes's mother's will. His mother had recently died, and his sisters, who had taken care of his mom, were getting more than he was. Wes says that he felt it was only fair for his sisters to get a little more, but that Sandra wanted him to contest the will. She threatened to leave the home and also threatened to go to an attorney, presumably for a divorce. So when he saw her car keys, he took them to prevent her from leaving. He claims to have talked her into not leaving and instead into going to bed, but when he awoke in the morning, Sandra and his gray 2005 Dodge Stratus were missing. It's important to note here that the Dodge Stratus was not her normal car. It was an old car of Wes's. Some articles state that Wes told the police that the last time he saw Sandra was when she left their home wearing black leggings, colorful tennis shoes, and a large navy blue and teal North Carolina Tar Heel starter brand jacket. As the next day passed and she hadn't returned, Wes began to think that Sandra was trying to teach him a lesson. It wasn't until his children were calling and asking why they couldn't get a hold of their mother that she was reported missing. I couldn't find anywhere though that said who exactly reported her missing, her husband or one of their children. Once reported missing, the police realized that the Dodge Stratus had been seen by Muskego police at 3 a.m. the morning of Saturday, March 27. Franklin and Muskego are both suburbs of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and are right next to one another, so getting from her home in Franklin to Muskego is just a few minutes away. Although the driver of the vehicle is unconfirmed, the police can confirm that it was the Dodge with license plate 319 LGT. It being around bar time after a Friday night, the police followed the car for a bit, traveling south on Racine Avenue, then west on Tans Drive, before heading back south on Crowbar Drive. While following, they ran the license plate, which is how we know it was indeed Wes's car. As this was before Sandra was reported missing and the car was driving normally, there was no reason for the police to pull the car over. Aren't you just wishing here that the driver had swerved over the middle line a little bit, or made a turn without using the signal, or something that would have given the police a reason to pull it over? That would have confirmed if Sandra was driving the car, and if it hadn't have been Sandra, who knows what else the police would have found in the vehicle. Wes says that Sandra had cash with her when she left, but in the time since her disappearance, there has been no activity on her credit cards, bank accounts, social media, or her cell phone. 3 weeks after Sandra went missing, a search warrant was executed at their home on Thursday, April 15, 2021. The warrant also covered a storage building behind their home. Franklin Police, State of Wisconsin Department of Justice, and State Crime Lab investigators took part in the search. Wes was arrested when an antique firearm was found at the home. He was convicted of a felony for a financial crime sometime in the 1970s, so legally he's not allowed to own guns. Later, he was released and hasn't been charged for owning the gun or for any crime related to Sandra's disappearance. When Wes spoke with the media, he said that the search warrant said that the search was part of a suspected homicide investigation. Investigators removed computers, cell phones, mail, and an antique Model A car. Wes stated that the antique car was taken because a dog had alerted at the car. The search warrants are sealed, and the police have not made any statements, not only about the search, but also about the investigation, as it is an ongoing one. On May 7, 2021, a candlelight vigil was held where family and friends tried to support one another and bring some much-needed attention to Sandra's case. Her friends said, we wanted to do something just to bring it back into the spotlight again. It's so easy for these things to fall off the radar. Maybe somebody will see it and realize they saw something or know something. Wes attended the vigil saying, the kids and grandkids need her and we need her back, then adding, I need her too. Sandra and Wes's daughter, Kelsey, told the crowd, while we remain hopeful, deep in my heart, I know she did not drive off in the middle of the night, and I pray for my family and my mom's sake, we will have answers and justice soon. It seems a lot of people believe Sandra didn't voluntarily leave home that night. In the summer of 2021, the YouTube channel Adventures with Purpose, which specializes in sonar searching of waterways for missing cars and people, came to Franklin and Muskego in the hopes of being able to locate Sandra and the missing Dodge Stratus. Unfortunately, they barely found anywhere to search. As many people who live in the area know, most of the lakes around there are very shallow, especially at the boat ramps, which is where you would put a car in the water. At least if you tried to put it in the water not off a boat ramp, it would be a lot harder to hide it going in the water, since grass and the surrounding of a lake or a river would be disturbed, and that would be a big thing that the police would have been looking for if they thought Sandra had perhaps driven off the road. Going back to the maps of the path the car was known to take that night, what I find interesting is that it goes past two quarries. There is a large one that runs the entire length of Tan's Drive from Racine Avenue to Crowbar Drive, and then when you head south on Crowbar, you come to another quarry. Both have pits that are filled with water. Obviously, these are on private property, so volunteer search teams can't just go and check them out. Also, obviously, the police would realize that these quarries are by where the car traveled, and so for all we know, these areas were searched early on. I wonder if there are security cameras at these businesses, or if the police ask other businesses in the area, like gas stations, that often have outside cameras to try and trace where the car went after the police officer stopped following it on Crowbar. If any of that has happened, the police aren't telling us. Although the search for Sandra and the car doesn't go anywhere, the team from Adventures with Purpose does speak with Wes and also their daughter Kelsey. Wes gives a similar story as what he has already told the media, that he and Sandra got into a fight about his mother's will. She threatened to leave. He convinced her to go to bed and took her keys to keep her from leaving. The next day when he woke up, she was gone, and so was his car that he didn't even realize she had keys to. When Jared from Adventures with Purpose asks if there are any special places by the water Sandra liked to go, Wes doesn't answer the question. Instead, he chooses to say that the car was seen driving by some quarries. I found this interesting because my brain goes to, well, why would someone who perhaps dumped something at a quarry intentionally bring attention to her being seen at a quarry? It's the same way I think about him telling Jared and other media that he wants Sandra back for their kids, but not so much for him. Why would you draw attention to things that put you more and more into the hot seat? Another YouTube channel, The Behavior Panel, had a few things to say about this. Analyzing an interview Wes did right after the search warrant was executed, each of the 4 members of the panel, who are experts in interrogation, speech, and body language, weighed in on what they thought about his statements. I'll insert a clip here of them discussing some of his answers.
Wes says his mother recently passed away, and he and Sandra got in a fight over his mother's will. Sandra threatened to leave.
She comes down with her coat on and says, the last thing she said is, "You'll hear from my lawyer." Out of the corner of my eye, I see her car keys. So I grab them. And there was no scuffle. I convinced her to go upstairs to bed. It's no secret, we didn't get along too well, but you live together and you run a family, and it's terrible for my kids.
Wes says when he woke up the next morning, Sandra was gone, and so was his car, a 2005 Dodge Stratus. Neither have been found.
She had an extra key for my car, I didn't know it.
All right. I think this is classic embedded confession. Almost everything he says is an embedded confession. The last thing she said when she came downstairs, and then he describes what she did after that, after they went to bed. Number 1, who keeps their coat upstairs? And they're in Wisconsin. Nobody comes downstairs with their coat on. You come downstairs, you get your coat, and you leave. You do whatever. He says there was no scuffle. That lets us know there was a scuffle. There was a problem there. Why would he even bring that up? Why would he even say that? Then he says, I noticed, I looked down and saw her keys in her hand. I saw that out of the corner of my eye. You kidding me? Then he realizes what he's done. And then he says at the end there, I didn't know she had an extra pair of keys, a set of keys in my car. Really, really fast. These are all classic embedded confessions, right? All that make up an embedded confession. This should be studied, I think, because it's so classic.
I find it really fascinating, even if I'm not 100% convinced that they can accurately analyze what is going on. Adventures with Purpose also spoke with Kelsey, who no longer has any contact with her father. I wish I could include some of the audio clips of their conversation with her, but their video is for channel members only and not publicly available on YouTube. When they talked to her about bodies of water they had been to, she explains that she has used a drone to search over many of the lakes in the area. Knowing that many are shallow, she knows they wouldn't be able to hide a car and was more searching for a body. She says that she doesn't believe her mother was driving the car that morning at 3 a.m. and that her dad owns a junkyard, and so between that and some connections he has, she believes he wouldn't have had a hard time at all getting rid of the car. She goes on to say that there is a river, the Root River in Franklin, that she would like to have searched. Her stepbrother, the son of Wes but not of Sandra, owns a property in Franklin, and according to Snapchat location data, she was able to see that he was at the property for an entire day recently after her mom went missing. Because of the portion she'd like to have searched is on private property, she hasn't yet been able to gain access to it, but she has hired someone to help her do that. 10 months after her disappearance, the reward for information leading to the conviction of the person or persons responsible for Sandra's disappearance was raised to $50,000. Her daughter appealed to the public for help and information, saying, "Someone somewhere heard something, saw something, knows something, and I'm begging you to come forward. If this was your mom, if this was your nana, if this was your sister, your family, your coworker, you would hope that someone would come forward for you, and she deserves that." When asked by the media if driving off at night was unusual for her mom, Kelsey emphatically responded, "Absolutely. She wouldn't even drive to my house during rush hour of COVID. She would not have ever taken the car in the middle of the night. That wasn't her car. She never drove that car. She wouldn't. It's just simply not part of her character." Police say that they have received a few tips since the award has increased, but they haven't commented any further. Her friends say she wouldn't have just left, with one saying, "I'm stunned. I would not have in a million years guessed that she would go missing. Just take off? No, that's not the Sandy I know." Kelsey has stated that it feels like we're running into a wall, but she is also adamant about not giving up. "I know somewhere my mom is, whether it's looking down on me or watching from afar. She gives me strength and she gives me the motivation, and I won't stop until I find out and get answers that we all deserve." It's important to note that no one has been charged or publicly named as a suspect in Sandra's disappearance. So what happened here, guys? Part of me wonders if maybe Sandra didn't drive off. Maybe she was mad and upset and needed to get out of the house. I know her family says that she wouldn't have, but there's oftentimes things people struggle with that no one else really knows about. But there's the bigger part of me that wonders if the fight Wes and Sandra had over his mother's will didn't escalate and years of a bad marriage ended that evening. There's so much more I wish we knew. When was the last time Sandra was seen alive by someone other than Wes? When and where did her cell phone last ping? Was her phone found at the home? Where was Wes's phone pinging that Friday night and Saturday before Sandra was reported missing? Was there a history of violence in their marriage? What places have the police searched in trying to find Sandra in the car? Is there CCTV footage of the car after the last contact with the police? Let me know what you think. Is it possible Sandra left the house because she needed to get away from all the stress and from Wes, and she was in a tragic accident that just hasn't been discovered yet? Or do you think Wes had something to do with it? What do you think about the science of body language and human behavior, and how accurate do you think it is in helping to determine if someone is being deceptive or not? Should Adventures with Purpose return to try to search more bodies of water? So much with this one, guys. Let's get more people watching the videos, so like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe and stay careful.